Hi, my name's Kevin, and welcome to my first video in this series on how to make a responsive website from scratch. On the screen now you can see what we're going to be building. This is just my Photoshop mockup of it. This video will be focusing on just the markup, and after that we're going to work section by section through it and actually styling the whole thing. If you'd like to follow along, there's a link down below. Click that. You can download all the assets and follow along with everything that I'm doing here. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. So here on the screen is more or less what we're aiming for in this series and what I want to be building. You'll notice that I have the same layout twice. This is more of what I'm going for on the mobile view or smaller screen sizes and what we're shooting for on the large screen size. I'm going to be going for mobile first, so this is sort of the direction I'm starting off with, but when I'm writing the HTML, I do have to look at both of them and take certain things into consideration. Especially for this who we are section. Obviously this one really changes between the two, so we're gonna have to see how I'm gonna pull that one off. Otherwise they're more or less the same. I haven't done a true mobile navigation with the little hamburger menu. It's a pretty short one that I went with, so having it just shoot in underneath there to me made sense. And for now, let's jump right into the writing our code. That's what we're here for, right? So I've started off with a little bit here, and I'm going to open up my browser because that will be updating as we go. I haven't done very much, but I have a few things here. I've put in my title. I've linked to my CSS, and really important, I have a meta tag set up here for my viewport width. So if you've never done a responsive website before, this one is really important. It pretty much makes sure that your website scales properly. Otherwise, it could risk being like the desktop version of your site just zoomed way out. And that's sort of defeats the whole purpose of actually building your site properly. I also have my CSS file here, but right now there's actually nothing in there. And that's it. So let's just jump right into our body. And actually, I want to leave my Photoshop over here. I don't want to leave. Just get my mobile set up there. Let's just move that over a little bit. Super. When I'm doing my HTML, I like having my layout on the side here because it lets me sort of follow what I'm doing. And I'll even zoom in on this while we're working. It's just going to make my life a little bit easier. I want to describe what I'm seeing on the screen. Oops, let's move that over a bit more. That's better. So we're going to start off with the top up here, obviously, and just work our way down. And there we go. I just wanted that centered in that space. So up here, just this little bit here is my header. So I'm going to put in a header tag, and inside my header, I'm going to go and put in my logo. We're going to put in an image with a class of logo. And the source of this is my image folder and logo.png. And right here we'll do Creative Inc. logo. Save that, and we have my class of logo on there. After my logo, we need my navigation. So I have a nav. Inside of my nav, we have unordered list, and inside of my unordered list, we have 3 list items. List items times 3, and each one of those has a link in it. There we go. I'm going to leave all the links blank. We don't need them to go anywhere right now. So just an index.html. Whoops, what am I doing? We're not going anywhere. So that would be home, about, and contact. And that's it for my header. There's nothing else that actually goes in there. I'm going to be using the background image here for this section that will actually apply up there. So this section, I'm going to let's call this section my home hero area. And in my home hero, we have an H1. Now this, I'm going to do this entire sentence. So let's just copy the whole thing. I'm going to do this entire sentence as one H1. So making things look great. And then right here, I'm going to put in a line break just to make my life easier, but I'm going to put a span tag and come over here and close the span tag. The reason that I'm doing this like this is, well, first of all, this is one sentence, making things look great for companies who make great stuff. So some people come in and they do this sort of, this is an H1 and that's their H2. but it's one sentence. I want it to read like one sentence. So it doesn't make any sense if that's an H1 and H2, or even an H1 and a paragraph. So I'm going to use my H1 for the entire thing, and my span is just going to help me style the second half of that a little differently. After that, we have a link. So I have my A tag. It's not going to go anywhere, but it's going to be see our work. And I obviously need a class on this, and I'm going to call it button. And I have two different types of buttons on this. I have this button, my green button there, and I have a black button as well. So I'm going to use my button class just to set up the padding and my borders, widths, and my font sizes and all of that. And then I'm going to use my a second class, and we'll call this one button accent, since green is my accent color, which will control the colors of that. And I'll have my other one as a button dark or something like that. So let's save that just for fun and go and check my index out. We should have everything. There's my logo, my navigation, my H1, and that will eventually look like a button. So for this section, it's a little bit different. I can't just look at this, because then I will have this big picture here that's coming underneath. I'm still not 100% confident in how I'm actually going to do this, but I like the style of it. The main idea here is that, let's just make this a bit bigger so we can see it. I want the, when we have this, and this is going to be a bit bigger, but say that's, we see this sticking out the bottom, maybe like that, on our screen. And then you scroll down and you get this nice picture. So you get the information, but you also get this picture that sort of gives you a bit of personality to the site, instead of just this generic picture that you see on tons of these sites. So it's about who we are. It's sort of an about us section. It'd be nice to actually have a little face there to link through. But on the mobile view, a big picture like that would just get in the way and would be distracting, or use up way too much, not distracting, but it would use up way too much space. And I don't want to be using all that space up. Mobile space is pretty valuable. So with that in consideration, let's do a section class of about, let's call it home about. I'm only going to be doing the home page for this site. I'm not going to be building out any other pages. But my naming convention here is, we might have hero sections or big banner sections at the top of other ones. So this is by doing home hero, it's, I'm indicating it's my home page. And then I have my home about, and it's something that is unique. And I might have, if I had an about page, I'd probably have about classes in other places. So I just want to make sure it's my home about, if that makes sense. Now this is where things might change when I start doing the CSS. But if I look here, I think what I'm going to do is going to be part of my home about. I'm going to have a big div, and inside that div, I'm going to have this text box that I'm sort of going to offset a little bit. And I've set this up on a grid. And the idea here is that my containers and all of that I'm going to be using will be in this space. And I actually want that text to line up with the container. So it's offset, but I'm still inside of my grid in a way. At least that's the plan. We'll see what actually happens once we start coding this a little bit. But my plan for the time being is to do that. Yeah, so as I said, I think this is going to be with the picture. And then I need another... I'm going to need a div in here. We'll call it home about text box, I guess. And inside of my home about text box is where we'll put all of this text. So we'll have an H1 again, and we'll have two paragraphs. So P times 2. Let's just go and copy this text. And that one should be strong. So we'll throw my strong tag right on there. Close strong. Let's save that. And I think that's all I'm going to need. But as I said, we might have to revisit this. I'm not 100% sure yet. And let's actually, this is an H1 and this is an H1, and they're kind of different. So I think I'm going to give this one its own class too, because this one and this one look the same. And actually this one looks a lot like that one. So yeah, this one's going to get its own class. And I know I could come in here and say my home hero h1, so I could select it separately anyway, but I think I'm going to be using the same style for it up here and down here. So, and you know, it's nice to separate your CSS as much as possible, so it's not reliant on your HTML structure too much. So I'm going to come and give this h1 a class of, I'm not going to call it, I don't want it to be related to the fact that it's in the hero section. I'm just going to call this one title. I don't know if that's the best name in the world, but that's going to get the class of title. It's sort of the title of my page and the title of my call to action. I'm sure I could come up with a better name, but that's what I'm going to call it. And so now let's come down to here, some of our work. This one has its own little style on there too. But that's okay. We'll come back to that. Let's just come and give myself some room. Some of our work. So I need right away a section for this whole thing. So we'll call it section of portfolio. And now inside of my section of portfolio, I have another h1. Close h1. And after that, it's where things, I haven't put in any hover effect or anything here, but I want to have, when I hover on top, you know, the name of the project shows up and, you know, click here for more or something like that. So h1, so that's some of our work. And this is where I'm going to use figures. And the reason I like using, well, this will make sense, figure. And actually, I'm going to use some HTML comments here because I'm going to have a lot. I'm going to have 6 of them. It's not too many, but portfolio item 1. It's just going to be easier to keep track of everything here, I think. So I have my figure, and then I have my image. I have these all set up already. I've already saved my image portfolio01.jpg, and let's just call it portfolio port. I can't spell portfolio today. Portfolio item. And I then want my fig caption. Whoops, caption. And a fig caption lets me put in some text and stuff. And the whole reason I want to put this in a figure, if you haven't seen the figure before, it's generally used for when you have an image that has a caption underneath that lets you keep the two pieces of information related. So you'd have your picture and then the caption that goes underneath your picture describing your picture. And it lets everybody know that they live together. They're part. This information is related to this text here. So inside your fig captions, you can just write some text. You don't need paragraph tags and all of that. But I think I'm going to put a paragraph tag in here so I can have my paragraph and a button underneath it. So let's do that. Paragraph. Let's just put project description, project title, close paragraph. And then we'll come in with another button. Ahref won't go anywhere. Class is equal to button accent, and I'm gonna do button small. So probably just, I want them to be smaller than my normal button. I should have made a visual reference for it, but we don't have one. And I should put some classes on this. This is gonna be figure is class of, let's just call it port item. Like that, and then fig caption will be my class is equal to port description. So I have my portfolio item, and then portfolio item, and this is my portfolio description. That makes sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to you too. So I'm just gonna 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is why I like having the comments here, is as I'm scrolling by this big wall, 4, 5, and 6. So as I'm scrolling by this big wall here, I can keep track of where I am in the whole thing. And let's go and change my pictures too. 1 is 1, 2 is number 2, 3, 4, and where's number 5 and number 6. And I just want to make sure those worked. So let's go check my browser. And yeah, awesome. All 6 of them are there. Some of my work. You can see there's the project title. So this is the caption for this picture, the caption for that picture. Oh, why is that one? Oops, I forgot to. I started making my button and I never finished it. C project details. C project. Let's just do project details. Project details. Close A. Important to close things properly. Copy. Paste. 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 I'm probably missing 1 or 2. Paste, paste. So I made a button and I never closed my button. Smart. There we go. So project title, project details. That makes more sense. And so this will be the title of my project, and then I'll have a little button that you can click on to get more information on it. And all that we're missing is our footer now. And the footer's nice and simple. So let's go and look at what my footer looks like. I have here, I want it to look like that, and then it's just going to collapse down. So that's my footer. How am I going to do this? Well, we have a paragraph. Let's come and copy my text. And then I'm going to do these as unordered lists. Close unordered list. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list items. Li times 5. I guess normally these would be links. Well, this one wouldn't be. This would be sort of my title. Strong. Close strong. Copy. I get, this I guess would be sort of my navigation or something like that. You see lots of sites that just have lists of different stuff, and I'm not going to take the time to make different lists since this is just a template style site. And now I can take this unordered list and copy, paste, paste. And now to actually get these to go, so the content's there, but I'm going to have to make columns out of this whole thing. And as I mentioned, I built the big version of it anyway, on a 6-column grid, but I don't use the grid very much. I kept my button in there, and then obviously I have my main content area that I sort of used. This breaks out of it because I wanted to be full screen. And then I'm using it down here though. I'm going to create an actual column system that I'm only going to use here because nothing else on this page would use it. The reason I'm going to build it for here is, again, I'm only designing this one page for this demo, but let's pretend I'm working on a bigger project. So the same reason I named things home for my different sections in my class names, I want to make this so if most other websites follow very strict, the home page is usually unique. The other pages are more formulaic, let's say. So the column system would probably work really well. I have a column of 6. So I'm going to do my own thing should I just do it on the paragraphs itself? I don't need divs here. I don't need divs. Divs would make more sense though. Yes, divs definitely would make more sense because if this was, say I needed 2 paragraphs down here, if I put my column class on my paragraph itself, it would mean I could only ever have 1 paragraph here. So for maintainability, let's come up here and do a div of a column. No, let's do a span 3. I'm going to call it a span 3. I'm spanning 3. So I have my span 3, close span 3, tab that over. And then I will here do a span 1. Whoa, class of span 1, not a tag of span 1. There we go. Sort of screwed everything up there. Class of span 1. Cut, paste, tab that over, and we can just copy this whole thing and replace these ones. I hope this makes sense, but we'll see. So I have spanning 3, spanning 1, spanning 1, spanning 1. So that should make sense in the end. It's going to give me a little bit more work in my CSS, but again, I think, you know, realistically on a project, it's something that I would do. I don't like the name span 3. I'm going to call it column. Nowhere uses things called span. If you're coming from something like Bootstrap, or you're coming from something like Foundation, or pretty much any other grid system that I know of, they don't call them spans, they call them columns. This is the print side of me sort of coming through, where I'm used to spanning columns. And the last thing I think I should do here, I want to bring in a class on my list. So let's just do class is equal to unstyled list. And I want to do this as a class again. I don't want to have to say that my list's inside my footer, because again, we're looking at the fact that this could be extended into a bigger site, and maybe you'd want unstyled lists in other places as well. I wouldn't have to want to repeat the CSS for that. Whereas if I just do unstyled list, anytime I need an unstyled list, I can use that CSS. So there, that's saved. And that's it for this video. I'm pretty happy with how that went. I don't see any major problems coming up once we start our CSS. So in the next video, I will be starting the CSS. I will be approaching this with mobile first in mind, so I'll be looking more at this side of things. And I think normally if I were to do this, I would do my whole site and then come back up and make it work at bigger screen sizes. But because I'm doing this as a series, I think what I'll do is I'll just break it down. Each section here will get its own video. Oh, I screwed up my text there at one point. That's okay. I won't save this when I quit. But yeah, I think I'm going to do each section is going to get its own video. These two might get one because I think this will go pretty fast. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next one where we actually start making this look like a real website. So if you have any questions about what I've done, please don't be shy. Leave a comment down below. Hit the thumbs up if you liked the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.